Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, or Bayley, Mike Eller. Which one was walking out of SummerSlam Saturday, the WWE Women's Champion?
My pick is Nia. I think
Wow.
she
Okay.
wins. Bayley's run has not been great. I wouldn't call it horrible or all time bad, but I think it's been boring. And
That's a pretty good word for
yeah,
boring.
Tiffany cashing in would be exciting. I think it's one thing that keeps the match interesting. But they did the cash in last year at SummerSlam, so I don't know if they go back to back.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. And then I feel like that Nia took the briefcase and was kind of like, all right, well, I'll get you kind of a bedazzled one or whatever, and I'll give it to you later, kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a way of telling us that Tiffany Stratton probably isn't going to cash in here. Maybe she has a hint of it. I think she'll be present, and the briefcase will be present, but I think that perhaps it could be a distraction for either lady in this match. I think that it would work best if it was a distraction for Nia and Bayley kind of won, and then you had Tiffany and Nia with like this budding friendship that kind of would disintegrate real quick. But then again, with I could see it the other way too, where Nia could use it as a distraction to get the win on Bayley, because Nia is actually probably at the peaks of her, I don't know, goodness career wise, but still that mountain isn't very big, so to speak, right? So
No.
I can see Triple H wanting to give it to Nia as a transition, but I don't know if Tiffany's ready, because in that scenario, right? I don't know if Tiffany's ready to be a babyface. I think inevitable she will be, but I don't think that she's ready. I think she has a bunch of depth as a heel, and I think establishing her character in the long term, right, would be beneficial to go on a heel run. So I don't even think that scenario works. I just think that it's just going to be a big distraction, and it's going to cost Nia, and Bayley's going to win. That's my prediction. But
Okay.
overall, is that kind of the right prediction? Does Tiffany out there help the match, hurt the match? Before we talk about these two girls, what's your overall thoughts on Tiffany before we pivot off her?
Think she's great. Again, sometimes her work is. I mean, she's been wrestling for 3 years right now. I think she's exciting. She's got a lot of cool moves. She's obviously super athletic, tons of charisma. I think, like, again, she could be a little bit crisper in the ring, but that'll come. I mean, 3 years ago she wasn't even wrestling, so
Yeah.
I think she could be the star of the division. They need it right now on the SmackDown side.
Well, you have Charlotte returning, and then you have Jade and Belair, right? That are kind of stuck in tag team purgatory, right?
Yeah,
So it's just kind of like they have a lot of stars on there, but they're kind of in like Nia Jax season still, so to speak, coming off the Queen of the Ring, which I thought she did a really good job. And I was at the live Raw, I was at the SmackDown where they had that opening segment for 30 minutes, including the match, and it was rather boring. But at the end of that match, they kind of got us to a fine match. And I think that is kind of the ceiling here at SummerSlam. Fine to, yeah, that was actually kind of good, right? Like that was all right. They're both professionals, but that was also against Mia Yim and Tiffany Stratton. I mean, and Bayley is on the same par as Mia Yim. So I think that was like kind of a practice match for a cadence to have a championship match for Nia. Old school, build some heat, and then kind of have the baby face come up within that heat. And that's kind of, let's see where that gets us. And I think that's kind of what we'll get here with a mix of Stratton.
yeah. I mean, I think she helps the match because again, there's just not a lot of heat going in this match. I think like this is if you had to pick a match, if you unless you include the Jelly Roll concert, I think this is the bathroom break out of any of them right now. Uh, nothing against either of them, but it just it's just not it's just not that great. And Naya, I think this is her best work since NXT, maybe even better. But
Yeah, it's a good comparison.
yeah, I just don't see it like if she wins, does she carry? How long is she holding the title? That's my only hesitation of saying like how that Nia would for sure win.
I think it'd be a transition to another babyface. But like I said earlier, I don't think Tiffany's that babyface yet. And I don't really know if I see that babyface, maybe a Charlotte Flair returning, but that doesn't feel like they would kind of do that, right? Like, and then maybe Belair, but I don't know if that's really ready in the right spot. Like maybe they want to get the belt on Belair or Jade, them ready for a maybe later on, right? So I don't know. It's in a weird spot, and I don't really think there's anyone from NXT that they would call up in a babyface role. Maybe Roxanne, but I know they can flip babyface and heel
Yeah.
on in transitioning from the main roster, so to speak. So I'm not really worried about that. Like have a Roxanne arrive and then just like have her be like John Cena in 02 beat Kurt Angle. That wasn't for a belt, but that was kind of the same sentiment. Like, oh, I've arrived. I'll put my belt against you, little girl. And then you have that image of, oh wow, that's interesting. But I don't even know if they're going to do that. Honestly, the SmackDown brand as a whole kind of feels like it's in purgatory, right?
Yeah.
Waiting to jump to USA. Like it's like they're holding off, they're stretching stuff. They're kind of making things just linger before they ramp up to the USA in September, October, right? So as a sentiment, that's kind of how I feel about SmackDown. And that's mainly how I feel about the women's division on SmackDown.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree. Um, Jade and Bianca feels like they've been coming out to demand a rematch for 5 months now. I know it hasn't been 5 months, but
Yeah.
it's just like every week it's like, yeah, they're stalling all the main event. Like a lot of the main event talent is all involved in the bloodline angle. So like you're not really fleshing out the mid card outside of like LA Knight and Logan Paul. So it's a little rough there. Tag team division's not necessarily setting anything on fire. I know this isn't a podcast about SmackDown, but uh,
It's just
they're
it's
yeah,
just a realization. They're in a holding pattern for the next two
yeah,
months, and they have been for the last 2 months. So it kind of is what it is, Mike. And these girls here, especially Bayley, in this title run, has suffered from this. And I don't even know who the next hot heel would be to go against her. Maybe a returning Charlotte Flair, but I don't know. I feel that some would maybe perhaps pick Charlotte over Bayley. So that's kind of diminishing returns, right?
yeah.
So I don't know. Are they going to heat up? Are they going to just have Julia surpass NXT? I doubt it. You know what I
I
mean?
don't think so.
Stephanie Vaquera surpass NXT? I doubt it. Right? So I don't know. I feel like Bayley is in need of a hot heel, and this is the hottest they're going to get right now. Even though Nia Jax, like you said earlier, probably doing her best work since NXT. Again, under Triple H's tutelage too, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's kind of what they got, and they're making the best of it. And unfortunately, I think we both feel that Bayley is suffering from that. I don't think she's a big enough babyface. I don't think she's a big enough personality to carry a division by herself. I personally always felt that she was a fantastic 1A or B.
hmm,
And I think she's a Hall of Fame talent and is deserves to be a horsewoman for
yeah,
sure. But I think that her stripes are kind of showing here on this run. No fault of her own. Just kind of from a death standpoint, she's not able to bring really everyone up to kind of match that legacy. Where like a Belair would have,
yeah.
a Becky absolutely would have, maybe even a Rhea in a few years, right? What may or should or could. Uh, so I don't know. It's very similar to, let's just say it's very similar to Sasha than those pillars before that, where she would kind of needs a Sasha because this is very like her NXT run was kind of similar just there, right? And
Hmm.
then I don't know. I hate to harp on Bayley, but it's just kind of overall how we feel about her.
Right.
How I
No,
feel about her, anyways.
yeah, no, it's similar. I mean, she won the belt and then kind of hung around
Yeah,
for
and then
7 months and lost on.
they took 3 hot challengers away from her. Well, not really hot, but potentially hot
Yeah,
challengers that turned on her away from her. But that thing was beat so into the ground that they really had no choice, in my opinion. So I don't know. I think just Bailey just knew shade of blue or something like that. I don't know. She needs something over there, but I'm a fan of her, and I hope she'll get it. And overall, Mike, what do you see winning this match, and who would benefit from it the most?
again,
What
I
would
see. Go ahead.
and let me add to that too. Who winning this match would benefit the SmackDown brand the most?
Okay. Um, benefiting the character the most, I think Nia. Honestly, I think Tiffany. I don't think her win should come quite yet. Bailey, if she wins, it kind of doesn't change anything from her where she is right now. Helping the brand, Bailey's the biggest name Nia last probably. Bayley's biggest name. I mean, they're going to USA in October or September.
Mhm. I think late September, yeah.
Yeah,
Either way, they're getting kicked off Fox the
yeah,
first or second week in September because of the Big 10 or Big 12 football.
right. I think I would go. I think helping the brand at least to start.
Bayley, and then just make them go to work and build someone up next. And
Yeah,
you can kind of have Nia and Tiffany kind of maybe challenge for the tag belts. Maybe kind of keep building that partnership, and then use that Money in the Bank as a friction, or maybe it's my turn and Nia has her back, right? So
yeah.
we'll see. Overall, Mike, I kind of I kind of agree. I can see them giving it to Nia, but I would be surprised if they did too. I think Bayley wins and continues her run, and hopefully it gets a little more warmer and perhaps a little, just to be frank, a little bit better.
We can only go up. I think.
All right, Mike. Well, thanks for jumping on, and
Yeah.
we'll see you in the next one, buddy.
All right. Thanks again, Ryan.
Do you, as a big Cleveland Brown fan, before we get out of here, do you approve of this background?
Yeah, it's a good background. It's like they're trying to make it like like I like the Browns. Throw that on there. The logo, I think JT mentioned it. It's like hard to get the Browns logo kind of with it, but no, they like the stills for like the promo packages have all the rock and roll in it, and no, I dig the Browns. Football starting in a week or a couple weeks with
Yeah,
preseason, so very good work.
very good work. All right. I think you went a little too far in the hate, but the colors really don't pop. It's a reason why the Browns have been. It's very fitting that this SummerSlam's in Cleveland with the Browns. Let's see if they've been the Browns of late and have a strong season. And we go from there.
Yeah, don't see it, but we'll see.
All right, Mike. Thanks, buddy. See you on the
All
next
right,
one.
see you, Ryan.